One stormy night, a fierce tempest swept through the village. The sky was a dark, swirling mass of clouds, and the air was thick with the scent of rain. The villagers huddled inside their homes, listening to the ominous sounds outside. The wind howled like a banshee, its eerie wail sending shivers down the spines of those who heard it. It was as if the storm had a voice of its own, crying out in anguish. Rain lashed against the houses, each drop a tiny hammer striking the roofs and windows. The relentless downpour created a symphony of chaos, drowning out all other sounds. The old oak tree swayed violently in the wind, its ancient branches creaking and groaning under the strain. It had stood for centuries, a silent witness to countless storms, but this one seemed different. As the storm raged, a loud crack echoed through the village. It was a sound that cut through the noise of the storm, sharp and unmistakable. The villagers knew something had broken. The villagers rushed to their windows, their hearts pounding with fear. They peered out into the darkness, trying to see what had caused the terrible sound. Their minds raced with possibilities, each more dreadful than the last. To their dismay, they saw a large crack snaking down the side of the bell. The villagers were devastated. This bell had been a symbol of their community, a constant presence in their lives. This bell had been with them for so long. It had rung out to mark the passage of time, to call them to gatherings and to celebrate their joys and sorrows. Now it was broken. It felt like a part of them had been damaged. The crack in the bell was more than just a physical break. It was a wound in the heart of the village. The next morning, the villagers gathered around the ancient oak. They stood in silence, their faces etched with worry and sorrow. The storm had passed, but its impact lingered. They looked up at the cracked bell, their faces etched with worry. The once clear sound that had united them was now a painful reminder of the storm's fury. How would they know when to start their day or when to gather? The bell had been their guide, its voice a familiar and comforting presence. The bell's clear voice was now replaced with a dull thud. Each strike of the clapper against the cracked metal was a reminder of what they had lost. It was a painful reminder of the storm's destruction. The village would rebuild, but the memory of that night and the crack in their beloved bell would remain with them forever. An old craftsman known for his wisdom and skill stepped forward. His eyes, filled with years of experience, scanned the faces of the villagers who had gathered around him. They looked to him for guidance, as they always had, trusting in his deep understanding of life and the world around them. He had lived in the village his entire life. Every corner of the village held a memory for him, from the bustling market square to the quiet, shaded groves where he often found solace. The village was not just his home, it was a part of his very being. He had heard the bell's song countless times. Each chime marked the passage of time, the changing of seasons, and the rhythm of village life. The bell was more than just a tool, it was the heartbeat of the community. He placed a comforting hand on the tree trunk. The tree, like the bell, had weathered many storms and stood tall, a testament to resilience and strength. The craftsman drew inspiration from these symbols of endurance. "We don't need to replace the bell," he said, his voice surprisingly calm. His words carried the weight of his years and the wisdom he had accumulated. The villagers listened intently, hanging on to his every word. "Let us embrace its crack," he continued. The crack was not a flaw, but a feature that added character. It was a reminder of the bell's history and the trials it had endured. It now has a story to tell. The villagers were confused. They had always seen the bell as perfect, and the idea of embracing its imperfection was foreign to them. How could a broken bell still serve them? They wondered if it could still call them to gather, to celebrate, to mourn. The crack seemed like a blemish, a sign of weakness. Its sound was now jarring and unpleasant. The craftsman smiled. He saw beyond the surface, understanding that the bell's new sound was a reflection of its journey. He knew that true beauty often lay beneath the surface. The bell's crack was a testament to its resilience, much like the scars that marked his own hands from years of labor. "Ring the bell," he urged. His voice was filled with conviction, encouraging the villagers to see the beauty in imperfection. Hesitantly, a young villager pulled the rope. The anticipation was palpable as everyone waited to hear the sound that would emerge. The sound that emerged was unexpected. It was not the clear, resonant tone of old, but something new and different. It was not the clear, resonant tone of old. It had a unique timbre, a mix of the old and the new, carrying with it the weight of its history. It was a little strange, a little different, but it was beautiful. The villagers began to understand what the craftsman had meant. The crack had not ruined the bell. Instead, it had given it a new character, a new voice that was uniquely its own. It had given it a unique voice, a new melody. The villagers realized that the bell, much like themselves, had grown and changed, and its new sound was a testament to its enduring spirit. The craftsman gathered the villagers. He wanted to share a valuable lesson. "Have you heard of Kintsugi?" he asked. The villagers shook their heads, their eyes filled with curiosity. He explained how the Japanese art of Kintsugi celebrates imperfection. Broken pottery is not discarded. Instead, it is repaired with gold, highlighting the cracks. The gold doesn't hide the flaws, he explained. It makes them beautiful and unique. The villagers were amazed. They had never considered that flaws could enhance beauty. The craftsman continued, "Just like this Kintsugi, our bell is even more special now. It has a story to tell, a story of resilience." His words resonated deeply with the villagers. He reminded them that flaws are not something to be ashamed of. They are part of what makes us unique. As the days turned into weeks, the villagers grew accustomed to the bell's new sound. They found a strange comfort in its imperfection. It reminded them of their own vulnerabilities. They no longer saw the crack as a flaw. They saw it as a badge of experience, a mark of resilience. The bell's story encouraged them to be more accepting of their own imperfections. The villagers began to open up to each other. They shared their own stories of hardship and resilience. They learned that beneath the surface of perfection, everyone carried their own invisible cracks. In sharing their vulnerabilities, they found strength and connection. They formed deeper bonds, united by their shared humanity. The cracked bell had become a symbol of this newfound connection. The craftsman, witnessing this transformation, felt a surge of pride. He had always believed in the power of embracing imperfection. He had seen it firsthand in his own life. "Every challenge we overcome," he shared one evening, "every crack we mend within ourselves makes us stronger and wiser." He recounted a time when he had made a mistake in his work, a flaw that seemed insurmountable at the time. He had been ready to give up, to abandon his creation. But then he remembered the lesson of Kintsugi. He chose to embrace the flaw, to find a way to make it beautiful. The experience had taught him resilience, patience, and the importance of self-compassion. It had been a turning point in his journey as a craftsman. It had pushed him to grow and learn. Section 7. The bell's song continues. Years passed. The cracked bell continued to ring, its unique song echoing through the village. It no longer served as a reminder of the storm's destruction. Instead, it symbolized the village's resilience. It represented their ability to find beauty in unexpected places. The bell's sound became a source of comfort, a reminder that it's okay to be different, to be perfectly imperfect. Generations came and went. Each one learned the story of the cracked bell. They passed down the message of embracing imperfection. What had begun as a disaster had transformed into a powerful lesson. The bell's story became a cherished part of their heritage. Section 8. Embracing our own cracks. We all have cracks, both visible and invisible. We may try to hide them, to pretend they don't exist, but just like the bell, our cracks have the power to make us stronger and more beautiful. Our flaws tell our story, a story of resilience, courage, and growth. They remind us that we are not defined by our imperfections. We are defined by how we rise above them. Let us be inspired by the villagers and their cracked bell. Let us embrace our imperfections. Let us find the courage to share our stories, to connect with others in our vulnerability. For it is in our imperfections that our true beauty lies. Section 9. A Tapestry of Imperfection. Imagine a world where we celebrate our differences, where we see flaws as opportunities for growth. Imagine a world where we show ourselves and others compassion and understanding. This is the world we can create, a world where we embrace the beauty of imperfection. Each of us is a thread in the tapestry of humanity. Our flaws, our cracks, are what make us unique and valuable. Let us weave a tapestry that celebrates the richness and beauty of our shared human experience. Let the sound of the cracked bell remind us it's okay to be different. It's okay to be perfectly imperfect.